Let me just do this. There we go. Multiply both sides by it. Wait, let me share it first. Oh, darn it. Okay, multiply both sides by it, and then, you know, you distribute, and then that will kill off the denominators. Good. So that's what we're doing. All right. Are there any questions on this one? Okay. So we have x equals 3 over 34, right? That's our solution. So we also have these kinds of absolute value equations. I admit we did review this already, but it wouldn't hurt to do it again. Notice here we have minus 3x plus 5 plus 1 equals 9, right? Wait, darn it, wrong button. But we won't, okay, so to solve this, I mean, really what I would do is get the 1 on the other side by subtracting 1. In other words, you want to get absolute value all alone on one side, okay? Get absolute value all alone on one side, okay? So I subtract 1 from both sides. We get the absolute value of negative 3x plus 5 equals 8. Right? So we have this now. So that's what we get. Now, remember, from absolute value, we get two equations. Two equations. So from here, we're going to have negative 3x plus 5 equals 8. And negative 3x plus 5 equals negative 8. That's what we get. So we have these two equations to solve. Okay. So again, in either case, you want to get x all alone. You want to somehow get x all alone. So from here, right? Well, let's get the 5 out of there because we want x all alone. So we subtract 5 from both sides. So we have negative 3x equals 3. And I brought that over here. What do we do next? Well, again, we want x all alone. So the negative 3 we want out of there. So we divide. We divide both sides by negative 3, and that kills off this negative 3. And so x then is negative 1. And so x is negative 1. So that's one solution. But are we done? No. And why are we not done? We have this second equation to solve. So now we have this. It's actually the same steps to solve it in that we subtract 5. So negative 3x we get is negative 13. So that's what we get. And then we divide both sides by negative 3. Just like before, x will be all alone. Of course, our answer will be different, as you can see. We'll get x all alone on the left, and we'll get x equals 13 over 3. On the right here, the negatives cancel. So we have two solutions. We have negative 1 and 13 over 3. All right. Are there any questions on that? Okay, well, let's do another one then. So this one's a little bit different as well. You know, we have an exponent. We have a coefficient that's a fraction. But again, it's the same idea. We have two equations to solve, okay? Just want to make sure I didn't forget anything. So we have 2 over 3 times x minus 7 is 4. But we also want to solve 2 over 3 times x minus 7 is negative 4. You know, that'll come on a later slide. but we have this equation to solve, as you can see. Okay, so it's just like before. What do? You isolate x. So let's add 7 to both sides, right? That's what I'm doing, as you can see. So we add 7 to both sides, okay? And we get 2 over 3 times x equals 11. Okay, then from here, since 2 over 3 times x is 11, that's what we get. Now, I know this is a fraction here, right? But again, that's okay. We still proceed in the same way. Namely, we divide both sides by 2/3 because we want x. And when you divide, these numbers cancel. So x is all alone. I mean, theoretically, this is right, but it's really not nice to leave it in this form. It doesn't look, how do I say this? It's really better to write this in an easier way. You don't want to leave it like this, is what I'm saying. A number over a fraction, that's okay. Because what's happening here? This is the same as 11 divided by a fraction. This is the same as 11 divided by a fraction, 2/3. When you divide by a fraction, remember, what do? You multiply by its reciprocal. In other words, this becomes multiplication. This fraction, you invert. You turn it upside down, so to say. So we have 11 over 2/3, right? Okay, but that's really, again, that's 11 divided by 2/3. And what you can do is you can write this is the same thing as, division becomes multiplication. This fraction here, you take its reciprocal. You turn it upside down. You invert it. Now, how do you multiply this? Well, again, 11, you do 11 times 3, and you divide by 2. You're just multiplying a number with a fraction. So you get 33 over 2. So 33 over 2 is one answer. Again, I think I went kind of quick. Again, from here, we're going to get 2 equations. The first one is when here you have 4. The other one will be when you have this equal to -4. So as before, we solve for x, right? We add 7 to both sides. 2 over 3 times x is 11, like so. So we get this. And then, of course, we want to get x, so we divide it by 2/3. Here we divided 11 by 2/3. And that's the same as 11 divided by 2/3 is the same as 11 times 3/2. Division becomes multiplication. The second fraction, you take its reciprocal, invert it. That's all I'm doing. I mean, hopefully that makes sense. We get 33 over 2 as one answer. The other equation is similar, actually. Okay. Are there any questions so far, though? Hope I'm not going too fast. If I am, say something. Got a better idea. Okay. All right, let's keep going then. I don't want to go too fast because I don't want to. All right, so I want to make sure people understand what I'm doing. Okay. So for this one, it's actually similar, except instead of 4, we have -4. Instead of 4 here, we have a negative.